Today we're going to talk about the eBay shipping system and holidays, particularly federal holidays, because those are the holidays that normally USPS does not operate, and most government agencies are closed, or all, I should say. So, first off, we'll start off with saying that the eBay shipping system, the algorithm that it has, doesn't have the compensation for holidays. So, let's say somebody makes a purchase on a Friday and Monday is a federal holiday. So it's going to include Monday in its estimate for the delivery date that they spit out and randomly generate to the customer who sees the order. It's not going to, incorporate that there's that holiday there. So when somebody doesn't receive their item because the system is telling them that they should be getting it a day earlier than they're actually going to get it, they can technically open up a case against you. There's a lot of things that can happen from, the fact that the eBay shipping system won't take into account holidays. It also doesn't take into account the different regions in the United States for shipping times. So they give, first class 2 to 3 day turnaround time to everyone across uniformly on their website. But someone in Puerto Rico is going to think that they're going to get 2 to 3 day turnaround time. Someone in Florida is thinking they're going to get 2 to 3 turnaround time, and depending on where you're shipping from. If you're shipping from Washington or Seattle, Washington, and you're mailing something to somebody first class in Florida, it could take an extra day to get there. So an extra day beyond the window that they recommend. So the locations and the triangulation of how far the distances the package has to travel before it gets received to the recipient, these things don't really take into factor what's going on in regards to the expectations of the transaction. Now, if you are using tracking, this really does help bridge that gap, because obviously the tracking information is going to be updated live, and that information is going to be viewed for both parties. So, when you're sitting there, when you're tracking your package, and it actually updates in real time, where if there's a delay at USPS, or the package gets rerouted and then gets rerouted back to the person, they'll see all those steps, because every time it gets scanned, it'll give an update. But when you're shipping something with stamps, this is going to be this types of situations where you're mailing something out, you don't know how to track it, you have no expectations for the date that it could get there, because it's really at the whim of the post office and how fast they move. You can nail it down to an estimate or an average time or a time range, a time window, but for the most part, it could take longer or shorter depending on how far away the location is for delivery, based off of where the origin of where the package started. So the holiday situation, I run into a lot of issues, particularly is around Christmas time, Thanksgiving time, and New Year's, because it kind of all hits in almost like just about a month and a half. It's just a flurry of times that people are off, and not everybody celebrates these holidays, but the people that do participate in these holidays, are sellers on eBay, and they're observing these holidays, while other people are thinking that these are days that people will be operating and functioning and shipping items and fulfilling orders. These are times when people aren't able to do that. So my biggest tip for your way to combat this situation that you could have, and also with the slower shipping times around holidays, because it does tend to be a little bit slower immediately after any holiday, even if it's not a major holiday, but it's still a holiday that they have time off from work at the post office, and most people have off from work at their job. Not so much like you have like Memorial Day or Veterans Day, huge holidays. A lot of places are closed. All the government agencies are closed, but not everyone's closed. Like on Christmas, most organizations are closed. Most businesses are closed in the United States. But there are still businesses that are opening and operating on Memorial Day and Veterans Day, Columbus Day. These days, on Martin Luther King Day, these holidays are still federally recognized, but a lot of businesses countrywide are not shutting down to observe the holiday, versus a larger holiday like Christmas I know like a lot of companies will observe New Year's Day, and then sometime around Thanksgiving, depending on when it falls on. So these other holidays, there's no work getting done pretty much anywhere. So people who don't observe these holidays are wondering why things aren't happening. So these things need to be conveyed. And the best way I would say to do this is to adjust your shipping day, your shipping times. If you think that you're going to get maybe a 1 or 2 day delay this holiday season because there's a lot of people shipping things, and you think that it's going to the works will be clogged up a little bit, it might be easier for expectations for your customers to actually just extend your window out a day or two around these time periods, and then just adjust it back and forth. You can also leave a message with the printing label if you're printing out individual labels. You could say, expect, delays with the holidays. It could take an extra 1 or 2 business days for your order to arrive. But don't worry, your order will arrive. I ensure that, it'll arrive. Just, reassure them that they purchased from the right seller, that they're going to get their items, that their items might be a little bit late, but they're going to get there. And that, they should understand that, it's a holiday, and this is what happens around the holidays. There's a lot of stuff moving around. There's a lot of moving parts involved with the holiday. So, but yeah, the eBay algorithm, as to this date, does not have an incorporation for holidays with their shipping label printing system. So, and their estimated delivery, if you don't have tracking, is going to be based off of that average time that they get from the USPS website, and that the information that the post office provides them into regards to shipping speed and average shipping speed and destination, transit times. All these things are conveyed from the post office to eBay, and if you don't have tracking, they're going to basically just default to these generalized shipping windows, which don't have holidays. So keep that in mind when holidays are coming around. I know we have about one a month. So once a month, you could notice some disruption where you're getting a little bit more questions from your buyers are asking, hey, where's my package? It was supposed to be here yesterday, or oh, my item was supposed to be here today and it hasn't arrived. You might have to do some cleanup if you don't, observe this, adjustment of shipping windows, so that's a little more realistic for people. And you'll have to just send out messages saying, it might take an extra day or so due to the holiday that we just had. It could delay things a bit. So use these practices to try to make the transaction a little more transparent, and for all the parties that are involved with it to know what's going on, because the less questions that have to be asked, and the more you engage with your customers in a meaningful way, as in like you're not wasting your time or their time. So be meaningful with your communication, but try to get everything conveyed to the best way that you can, because all this comes back to how you get reviewed by the buyer. So keep it in mind, and hope these tips helped. To all of our listeners and those of you who found this content interesting and want more, then hit the subscribe button and like this video. Thanks for tuning into the show.